So, we're going to go over some definitions real quick, and this episode is going to be simply about feminism, beta males, alpha males. So, feminism is advocacy of women's rights on the basis of equality of sexes. Feminist, however, is a person who supports feminism no matter what the cause. Alpha males normally have a physical presence, charisma, as well as confidence. Top of the social status hierarchy, typically described as real men by society. They have the ability to protect oneself, rarely endangering themselves at the same time. And they also have the ability to lead others, being a successful speaker that can persuade people with their own logic. Not being afraid of confrontations, such as arguments. They have high social intelligence, very high work drive, very high work ethic, a drive to succeed, and a strong desire to produce, earn, and excel. I'm going to go into a little light note here. According to studies that were done, most women feel nowadays they are dating borderline beta males. And they say this, at least in the bedroom. We're going to touch on that here in a little bit. Now, beta males are unremarkably careful men who avoid risk at all costs, and they also avoid confrontation. Beta males lack the physical presence, charisma, and confidence of alpha males. They tend to be smart, quiet, unconfrontational. Most women in their 30s tend to settle down if they haven't found somebody yet for beta males, simply for the financial security and their stability. Some women find the fact that they do not buy into the stereotype about male behavior. They find that sexy, at least at first. They are not threatened by intelligent and powerful women, they say. He does not have to be in control of every situation to maintain his sense of oneself. They often are introverted, intelligent, and introspective. They tend to buy into the feminist lie that all men should serve women. So we're going to move on now. So feminism, as well as feminists, originally was a very good idea. At the time, they were fighting for voting rights, equal working rights, more protection from abusive relationships. However, now it is not such a good thing nowadays. Do not get me wrong. Sure, in third world countries, it is still a very good thing. Again, do not get me wrong. If a woman is doing the same job as a man, and let's cut it clear to the chase here. If they're doing the same job, meaning all aspects of the job, lifting, dangerous work, they're doing all aspects. Guess what? They should get the same pay rate as a male. You know, that's just a given. Something I've noticed on social media is women scream, "I want a real man." Yet, when a man is being a man, what we get is simply the opposite. We get to hear things like, "Why are you being such an asshole?" You know, or "You're such a sexist." You know what? I could do everything you can. To myself, I feel they want to sleep with an alpha male. However, they want long-term relationships with beta male traits. It is very much a psychological thing nowadays. For those of you that do not understand, what they really want is to be protected, taken care of. They want you to take care of their needs in the bedroom, meaning take the lead. However, they also want to have more say into it. Now, yes, I know, men, it is a very tricky nowadays to do this. Indeed, it is. If you're too rough, then you are wrong. And if we stick up for you, then they feel that we're being sexist. If we work too much, then they feel like we're putting our job before our family. If we do not work enough, then they say we're not real men. See, women, how confusing this is for us? It's like if we do the wrong thing, then we end up in handcuffs or divorced. Please, women need to understand, men are not mind readers. I personally feel this is the reason why foreign brides are way up, as well as divorce rates in our own countries are way up as well. I want to have a perfect understanding. Once you marry a woman, there is no reason to cheat. Now, what is cheating? Women will tell you it's physical and emotional. Men will tell you it's physical. Believe it or not, guys, most women are way more freakier than you realize. They have more fantasies than you realize. They do not talk about it like we do. They also think about it way more differently than we do. You might have to strike up a conversation with her. It might be uncomfortable, and she might not answer right away. They will, however, eventually answer you. This is why I feel there's no reason to cheat. Now back to the subject at hand. For you extreme feminists out there, a compliment or a glance in your direction, this is not us objectifying you. It is simply us trying to be a gentleman. Opening up a door or pulling out a chair, this is also not objectifying you. Want to know where you are? This can be kind of tricky. So, majority of men, when we ask that, you let us know where you are, the main reason for this is we want to make sure you're safe. Guess what, women? This is a sign of loving and caring about you. Now, here's the difference. If we ask you to ask permission and we tell you to answer your phone immediately, no matter what you were doing, this would be the form of being controlling, especially if we punish you when you get home. So, a lot of things are coming to my mind. When we ask you to wear something sexy in the bedroom, it is simply because we want to see you being a little naughty. Mainly because, and you know this, women, deep down inside, you all know that you have the ability to do that. Now, if we said we want you to wear nothing but a t-shirt or panties or nothing at all around the house, this would be a form of controlling you. Unless your man cannot cook at all. Completely not at all. If we ask you to cook something, it is simply because we are hungry, we are tired, and we do not want to spend money on going out. Now, don't get me wrong, not because we feel like you being a housewife, that's what you're supposed to do. However, with that said, if you both entered the relationship and you both agreed that is how it's supposed to be, then you cannot expect him not to get mad at you when you don't do it. There was a time to where if you were a stay-at-home wife, you did cook, clean, and take care of the house. Now again, if he feels this way and you both have agreed upon it, you need to learn to compromise, or trust me, problems will come up, and we're going to touch bases on that in the next podcast. Now, I want a beta male. So you always hear, I want a beta male. An emotional, caring, loving man. A guy who will cook and clean, who will put my needs before his. One that will cry, one that will try new things, one that will listen to me. Really, women? Really? Because I got news for you. Statistics prove otherwise. Majority of the time, if a woman gets a beta male, it is simply for financial gain. That, and they like to do things similar as what a girl would, such as shopping, gossiping, listen to them no matter what. In a bedroom, they tend to put their needs before us regular guys would. They're the type that will massage the woman, go down on them, really anything the female wants without hesitation. Remember earlier when I said I think women want a guy who has both alpha and beta male traits? Now let me get into why I said that. This is why. Statistics show most of the time, if they stay with the full-on beta male, they turn them into cuckolds. And they tend to sleep with alpha males. This is because although beta males offer great things that the woman likes, once in a while a girl just wants to have it rough or to feel like a real man is in her. If they do not turn them into cucks, they cheat with alpha males. I also think this is why girls who turn into lesbian majority of the time go for butchy girls. In my podcast on fetishes, sexual attraction, we will touch up on this. Women, by the way, most men are aware of the fact that it is your body and you can do what you want. It's cool. We understand. But however, let us just say one thing. We want input as well. Simply because some things that you do to your body, sorry feminists, it's not controlling. We don't, we don't feel like you're our property, but we do feel like, you're our partner. And we should have a say in what turns us on and what doesn't. Why would we want you to do something that's just going to be a complete turn-off to us? And after all, do partners not suggest things, give feedback, thoughts, and feelings on things? Part of the problem, honestly, nowadays, is the media. Now think about this for a couple minutes. How many men nowadays are shown to be submissive to women in all kinds of ways? There really are too many to explain. So a lot of these girls grow up to think this is how men are supposed to be. Yes, somehow, deep down inside, they are fighting themselves because they see an athletic guy or a tough guy type, and half of them are going, I want that, but the other half are going, I can change them. Let's be honest. How many times do you hear a woman talking? One is going, when you see two women talking, one is going, why don't you leave him? He is such an asshole. The other girl goes, you don't know him like I do. There's another side to him. Care to guess what that side is? So I feel feminism is a bad thing for these times we are living in, unless it is in a third world country. I think if men could learn to be half of both types, it would probably put a drastic stop to feminism. Communication, as well as honesty, is a really big key here. Let's try being gentlemen. Women, let's try being more feminine. Maybe we need to get back to this type of thought processes. So to all the hardcore feminists on another side note, if you are single, you go to the club, you're dressed sexy as hell, showing skin, etc., you know what the hell you are doing. You want attention. You want to attract somebody. The only time you get mad at a guy for noticing is if it's a guy you feel unattractive and less desirable. Then you go, I am not an object. You better look up here in my eyes. Some of us still think women wearing a sundress is sexy as hell. Stop getting mad. Try to communicate with us instead of yelling how we are assholes, sexist, and objectifying women. Maybe, if you did, more men would become both alpha and beta males, which is what you really want after all. I find it is a very rare trait that a woman wants a man to be either completely alpha or completely beta. The reason why I say that is because statistically, you'll see women, like I said before, whenever they cheat and they go for an alpha male or a beta male, most of the time when they have a full-on beta male, they do shit like try to conquer him because it turns her on. They feel more powerful than you. They like offending you. They like talking down to you. Eventually, what will happen is that the relationship continues. They will either cheat on you with an alpha male type or they will turn you into a full-on cuck. And at that point, they will cheat on you with alpha males who will get off on the idea that you're sitting there watching, quite frankly. So, with all that said, like I said before, the reason why I was saying third world country is because, sure, you got to understand that in some countries, women still are not allowed to drive. They're not allowed to vote. They're not allowed to work. They're not allowed to talk to their husbands a certain way. In a lot of countries, they're not even allowed to show any skin whatsoever. In those type of countries, I can understand where feminism would be a good idea. It would be a good thing to have on their agenda because they're trying to change something for the better. But when you get to the point to where when a guy is just being a guy, doing things that throughout history, time and time again, has shown us just being what we're brought up to be, meaning protecting you, looking out for you, noticing how when you look good. These aren't bad things. They've only been turned bad because media has told you that they're bad. Honestly, how else could you freaking look at it? Nowadays, you turn on the tube and you see a guy wearing more makeup than what you see anything. And if you really want to be honest about how bad it's actually getting, look at the fashion trends that's going on. Not too long ago, I saw somebody who claimed that they were from the hood and they were wearing a Gucci purse. Granted, they called it a man purse. It was still a Gucci purse. They were wearing tighter pants than the woman had on. And they were wearing a pink shirt. They had more makeup on than a female. Sometimes you see a couple and you don't even know who the female and male is. Now, for a short bit of time, sure, the female is going to love that, because they're getting somebody who borderline will be, do things with them that us regular guys, we just, quite frankly, don't have no interest in doing. Going shopping isn't top of our list unless there is something specific that we're going to go buy. Now, if we go, today I really am interested in buying a couple outfits and maybe a couple tools, we might go to the mall with you and you won't hear no complaining. But if you're just trying to go, chances are we're not going to have no interest in that. That's not a bad thing. That's just the way we think. Now, vice versa, the reason why I feel like there should be a middle ground is because I do think that... Sorry about that. I was cut off earlier. So what I was saying is I do think there are some good traits to both beta males and alpha males. I just think we have to find a common ground to be one and the other at the same time. I feel like this would eliminate a lot of affairs, a lot of cheating, a lot of divorce, a lot of situations like that. It's just common sense when you think about it, because when you start looking at statistics and you start seeing why they're doing it, both female and male, why they're cheating on their partners, what females are finding more attractive, what guys are finding more attractive. Times change, tastes change, things change. All of that needs to be accounted for. And when you look at the reasons why they're doing it, it is simply because the media has been portraying the alpha male stereotype as a bad thing. There's no way that you're going to get around that. There's no way that you could say it's not, because that's what you see every single day in the media. You know, it's... This guy was being an asshole because he said I was drop dead gorgeous. You know, really, if the guy looked like I don't know, some bodybuilder type, the girl would probably be like, "Oh, really? That's great." As they got their finger in their, like, you know, hair with their little eyes batting back and forth. Now, if the guy was just an average guy that they didn't find attractive, though, they'd be like, "Why is he objectifying her?" Do you get what I'm saying? So there's a difference here, and that's the difference, you know. And vice versa. Women, we feel the same way, you know. It used to be you're attracted to what you're attracted to, you know. Some guys wanted the more feminine type of woman, you know, that wears dresses, spends an hour getting ready, shaves their legs constantly, caters to their man, and, you know, that was great. And then you had some guys that wanted, you know, something a little bit more drastic, something a little bit more different. But because the times were the way they were, they just had extramarital affairs, you know. And now with the birth of social media, dating sites, and etc., people have an easier time of finding out what they want. Now, granted that the guy's living in a certain area to where it's not very common, then chances are they probably would do it in secret. And they probably keep you around just for appearances kind of thing. And you know what? Women are guilty of the same thing. The exact same thing. You know, when you hear a woman explain why they cheat, you're very seldom going to hear something on a sexual nature. What you're going to hear is, he didn't pay attention to my needs. He never wanted to listen to me. He was such an asshole. He was always working. He was always doing this. He always had a negative opinion. My family didn't like him. My friends didn't like him. It will always be something like that. You know, when a male cheats, it's the girl is being a prude. You know, I tried to do this and she called me an asshole for it. You know, or vice versa. If they're a beta male, chances are they found a woman that's stronger than that woman that they were already with. So let's meet in the middle. Let's find some common ground and talk about it. That's why I said communication is key earlier. Communication is a crucial key to understanding reasons and why things are done. If you don't communicate with your partner, you can't expect to change anything for the benefit. You have to communicate. You know what I'm saying? And men understand earlier when I said women are way more freakier. Believe it or not, science has proven that women think about sex on an average 5 times more than a guy does. And we all know how much we think about it. They just think about it differently than what we think about. You know what I mean? They don't, you know, we think about the act itself or certain aspects of the act. They think about how it's going to be, what it's going to be like after, if they can see yourself. You know, there is a study a long time ago that said that women within the first 5 minutes of a conversation has already decided if they're going to be with you or if they're going to sleep with you or if they don't want nothing to do with you. They decided in the first 5 minutes of a conversation. It takes most guys 5 minutes just to get the first hit, the first pickup line out of them. So by the time you get done with your pickup line, they've already gauged everything. They've already figured out whether or not, you know, whatever. And if they haven't figured it out, I bet you, I'd be willing to bet money that they have some female friend sitting at the table that will help them figure it out. Because she's already figured it out as her friend. You know what I'm saying? That's why I think that communication is crucial. And when we get into this area, you have to understand that it's not necessarily us being an asshole. It's us just doing what guys are supposed to do. And the only reason why you feel the way that you do is because that's what society has taught you. Because in the 1970s, more feminists came out. Now, granted, they were originally, you know, they've always been kind of around. They just weren't vocal until the 70s. Once the 70s hit, it was hell on fucking wheels. They had a voice, they had an opinion, and they were going to march until they fucking couldn't march anymore. And it was at that point that things started to change. Divorce rates started going up, affairs started going up. I mean, granted, that probably always kind of were, but it was more prevalent and becoming more prevalent to society at that time. And now we're in the 2000s, and it's even more prevalent, and it's even more signs of the time. So you got to understand all these things. You got to understand all these aspects of it. I get so tired of hearing this feminism, alpha, beta, fucking controlling, blah, blah, fucking blah. When actuality, if you sit down and you talk with somebody, with your partner, it might be embarrassing. It might be uncomfortable. But trust me, good things will come from it. It really will. There's just no way around it, And you'll be surprised at what you get, honestly. You really would. I mean, and I'm talking from both sexes here. I'm not just talking to males. I'm talking about females and males. A lot of times, a guy would actually be willing to do stuff that betas do if you just talk to us and let us know what you want. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa, guys. A lot of women will be willing to do a whole lot more than what you think that they would be willing to do. There's a good percent of the time that, one, they're embarrassed to bring it up. Two, they don't know how you're going to react. And three, they're afraid of other people finding out about it. What that means is some of their most hidden desires, they might not tell you right away simply because of the fact that they're afraid that you're going to tell your friends and their friends are going to tell their friends and etc. They don't want that shit to get out. You know what I'm saying? But if you show them you're not like that, you won't say nothing, you'd be surprised at what they're willing to do. Okay? Trust me, you really would. There's a whole industry we're going to touch up in the next episode about just that very thing. And that industry wouldn't be there if people didn't have those desires. The fact is, you have those desires out there. You know what I'm saying? And people are feeding off those desires because, hey, why not make a career out of something most people are too embarrassed to admit? You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly. And there are some wicked out there things you could try, and it was outstanding to me. Like, when I actually talked to this female one time who explained it to me, and it was probably close to about 18 years ago, and I was just floored by what she said when she said, most of us would be willing to do this, but this is the reason why we don't. And when you really hear it presented like that, it kind of opens up your eye, and it did mine. I mean, before I was married and settled down, I spent a good portion of my life basically experimenting and trying all kinds of things. I was the type of guy that would ask a female, hey, what would you want to try? You know what I'm saying? And I was always surprised by their answer. And like I said before, they didn't answer right away. Most of the time, it takes them some time before they actually go, hey, I'm kind of interested in this. It's just not in their personality to come right out and say it. You know what I mean? It just really isn't. And even after they do it, they're still going to deny they did it. That's just who they are as a species. Like the old saying, women are from whatever and men are from whatever. I forget, so I don't really want to, That's where that saying came from. So I'm going to cut this one a little shorter than I normally do because we kind of had an interruption and everything messed up. So if you're still following me, this is pretty much the end of the first one. I just wanted to touch up on it. I'm still doing more research, so I am planning on doing another broadcast on feminism and alphas and betas. I'm building up a research right now to do a later podcast about that. So you got to bear with me. This is just a short version, I just kind of want to touch up on a little bit of different things that came to my mind. Most of that actually came up when I was drinking coffee one morning, I was watching different things. I was like, well, why don't they look at it like this? So